So I think you're going to have to click a button saying okay or something like that. Thank you for that. Good morning, all. This is the 2025 commissioning recognition informational session. And in case you guys don't know who I am, I think most of you do, I am Brian. And I serve currently in Milton, PA at St. Andrews and Bethany United Methodist Churches. And I serve on the Board of Ordained Ministry in the capacity of registrar for elders and for deacons. So welcome to this session, and good to have you folks with me this morning. I planned this, I have it scheduled for a 2-hour meeting. It's going to take as long as it takes. If you guys have a lot of questions, we'll take the full 2 hours. If I'm clear enough in what I say that you don't need the full 2 hours, we'll get out of here whenever we're done. But I won't rush anyone. If we need more time, we need more time. Not a big deal. First of all, just by signing up for this does not mean that you're going into the you're not saying that, yes, I'm going ahead with the process. This is for informational purposes. After we have our conversation today and you look at everything that needs to be done, you can decide whether or not you're ready to petition the board this coming year. You have to leave at 10. No worries, Carrie. I will, and that's good for anyone. If you do need to leave, I will send you the link for the video. I'll send you all the link for the video afterwards anyway. In case you have trouble sleeping tonight, you'll have something to work on. Help you out there. So this is for informational purposes. After we go through this and after you think about it all, I would just ask you can send me an email to that BOM registrar at SUSUMC to let me know, yes, I want to proceed, or no, I don't. And again, just because you tell me yes, life happens, we understand that. And you may decide after a couple months, no, I'm not going to. But if you say yes, then I will be sending you a large file with a large folder with a whole bunch of files in it. Everything that you're going to need, or I think everything you're going to need to process through. But we're going to go through those things right now. We're also going to talk about the system Passage, passageumc.org. It is the current candidate tracking system in the United Methodist Church. They changed that multiple times over the years. It used to be UM Cares. You might have been familiar with that one, which many people lovingly referred to as UM Scares because it was a lousy system. Then they decided to come up with Passage. And everyone should actually be in the Passage system. I can always double check should you have issues. Not everybody knows their password and stuff. You may not have ever used it yourself, but we'll go through that. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you basically a checklist. Yeah. And so you should be able to see this Susquehanna Conference Board of Ordained Ministry 25-26 guidelines, instructions, and checklist. Everybody see that on their screens? Yay, I did it. So this is like a 5-page document that I put together, and I have space here, so you can print this out, or you don't have to print it out. You can do it electronically, and you can just keep track of what you still need to do. There are a lot of things. In fact, I need to add 2 things that I forgot weren't there. But you can see all of these things that you're going to need to do. There's 24. It's going to be 26, actually, things that you'll need to check off to have done in order to be completely ready. Now, some of the items that need to be done take like 5 minutes to do. Other ones take 5 weeks. But just because something is small and easy to fill out doesn't mean it's not important. So I tell people, try to get those ones done quickly. Get those done first rather than waiting till the end. Because although, I mean, it might sound harsh, but if you're missing anything, even one of those 5-minute documents, you can't proceed with the interviews. We need all of the stuff. These are required by the Board of Ordained. Well, first of all, most of the stuff is required by the Book of Discipline. And then the Board of Ordained Ministry does have some additional requirements. So unless we have everything, we can't go through. I had to turn down a candidate a few years ago exactly for that reason. There was only 2 or 3 small things that they never submitted. They were upset, but I had been forthright and open with them right from the beginning. We need it all. We need it all. The submission dates, everything needs to be completed either, if anything that you need to send to me needs to be January 10th. We give you till January 10th of 26. And anything that's going to be submitted that you're uploading directly to Passage is January 15th. January 10th is a little of a soft date. If you get it to me the 11th or the 12th, I just need maybe a day or two to make sure that I get it uploaded and set where it's supposed to be. But that January 15th date, that's a hard deadline. 11:59 p.m. to submit your materials. And everything is time and date stamped, so we can't fudge it. We can't fudge it. So again, a lot of the stuff is simple. A biographical information form, which can be uploaded via via Passage, and it looks like this. Okay, can you see? I changed papers. Hopefully, you can still see that. It's a red and white document. This is the official thing from the General Board of Higher Education and Ministry, and all it is basic biographical information. And if it takes you more than 5 minutes, well, maybe 10. I'll give you 10 minutes to fill that form out. That should be sufficient. That's even if you're doing a whole lot of stuff in your church or that you've done a whole lot of things over the years. But it's a pretty simple form to fill out. And once you do that, you can upload it to Passage. Go back to this one. All right. The medical report of the ministerial candidate. This is actually 2 different things that are going to be in here regarding medical. One is the Form 103, which is the official long form from GBHEM. Okay, and that's the one that's multiple pages long. That's going to be a full physical with your physician. All right. However, also there is a letter from the doctor or from the bishop that that your physician needs to sign. So please get both. Please do both. There, and this one has a lovely picture of Bishop Ector on it. So don't lose that one. Make sure, because your physician does need to sign both of those items. Back to the checklist. Form 105 is another one of those super simple ones that's not going to take long to do. And it is there it is. Form 105 right there. Again, another simple one, just a couple pages long. Most of it is instructions telling you what explaining the various categories that you are petitioning for. For instance, Randy is petitioning for associate membership, so he just needs to check off associate membership. And if you're going to be petitioning for provisional membership, which is what the rest of you would be petitioning for, you just mark that box. And again, it gets uploaded to Passage. So it's nice and simple. Form 109 is actually 2 forms that need to be completed. And this is, excuse me, theological school recommendation. So And again, the associate member, Randy, doesn't need to fill this out. Although Randy did most of his paperwork last year. So Randy, I should have specified most of your stuff is good and good to go. You probably should redo the Form 105. Okay. Um, and I do need to apply you to a different track, but we'll talk about that later. I didn't get there yet.
That was going to be a question, what I had to redo, but cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll make sure you're a different category, so I'll make sure you're not unusual though. Let me put it that way. Okay, here's the thing, and now's as good a time as any to talk about it. You're going to be sending all this stuff in, and no, I'm sorry. We'll hold off on that. I'll come back to that. But Form 109 is actually two forms that need to be completed, and it is from your seminary. It's your seminary recommendation form. Although it's a simple form that shouldn't take long, seminaries are horrible with deadlines. They are horrible with responding to people, and they are horrible responding to boards of ordained ministry. I say that based on my own personal experience and on the experience of some of my colleagues on the board. They just do not respond. I recommend strongly requesting the recommendations as soon as possible. That way you've got time to hound them, because chances are you might need to hound them. Now, I will grant you that some seminaries are better than others at it, but none of them are very good. So should you decide to petition this year, or whatever you do decide to petition, make sure you get these Form 109s out there as early as possible. Here it is, second copy. So one copy goes to your faculty advisor or another faculty member of your seminary. The second one goes to the Office of Field Education, if you had one. If you had one. If you did not have an Office of Field Education, you could you could do two faculty members. We prefer the field education, but like I said, if you had it, some seminaries don't require that. Candidates disclosure form, which that one needs to come to me. One from. Is that it? This one needs to come to me. Why? Because it needs to be notarized. I believe there are two forms that need to be notarized, so just make sure you do those. So since they're notarized, I need hard copies that I can put in your file. And I'll just check off, I'll take care of it afterwards that it's been done. Yeah, signature notarized. I need transcripts. Any and all college and seminary transcripts. So if, some people like to collect master's degrees. They like to collect diplomas. I'll need any and all transcripts. There are options for that. They need to be the original, like they need to be the official ones. You can't just send me something that you have at your house. You can't send me that. I will need it to come to me directly from the schools, whatever school it is. However, a lot of schools anymore are giving you the option of physical or electronic. I'm fine with electronic because the schools charge for transcripts. My understanding is they charge less for the electronic ones than they do for the hard copy ones. So I'm not interested in costing you guys a lot of money that you don't need to spend. So the electronic ones are fine as long as they come directly to me. My email address is on multiple things in here. We've got a new one now for me. If you use my old one, that's fine. My, B Lucas one. but we would prefer you use the BOM registrar. We're preparing for any transitions that might happen. That way we can keep all emails in a file and I can just pass off the email to somebody else. If I ever actually get somebody to want to replace me, right? So your clearances, we need all your clearances. Criminal record check, child abuse clearance, FBI fingerprinting, and safe sanctuaries. Of course, you guys should already have that. But in case you don't, in case you forgot, you'll be getting this paper here, which tells you how to do it. And they need to be, was it no more than 5 years old? Whatever it is. We're good with the same one. So I don't need new ones as long as they're good past June of next year. We'll be okay with that. Credit check. And you may already have had a credit check or a recent one. Contact your district office, and they know the procedure for doing the credit check. They should have no problem with that. Oh, back to your other checks, all your clearances. I'm okay because again, you should already have those done and in your files at your district offices. If your district office emails those to me, along with just a signature that it was verified by the AA or the superintendent that they were there and good, that's acceptable for us. All right. So same thing on the credit check. If you have one that's relatively recent within the last couple of years, that's fine. Otherwise, I would ask you to just contact your district office and have them go through the process with you. Service requirement. This is for anyone going for commissioning. You do have to do the service requirement as set out by Boom and by the district committees. They came up with a new procedure last year to help make it, I'm going to say simplify it a little bit and almost make it a little bit more uniform across the districts. Some districts were asking for much different than others were. And the DCOM chair sat down with the Boom chair with Mira and came up with a new plan. So hopefully you're all aware of that. That service project does need to be completed prior to commissioning and prior to the interview. You will need to upload to Passage, and it's just a couple page report telling us about your project, what it was, and a reflection page, basically telling us what you learned from it and how it's going to impact your ministry moving forward. So there's no form for that. It's going to be your own thing. Same on the autobiographical. It's just a 1 or 2 page paper about yourself. Basically your call. You can consider it your call statement. A photograph, one that you can upload to Passage, which we'll show you in a little bit. But also if you can email one to me or mail a hard copy one to me, so I can put it in your hard copy, your hard file. So when you do come before the board, they'll know who they're looking at when they see your lovely smiling faces. Psychologicals. All of you have had psychologicals because you've had to prove that you're crazy enough to actually do this job and want to do this job. All you need is I need to have a copy of it. And so what you're going to do is contact Robin Bear, and her contact info is there. Will be there on the checklist when you get that. You email her and ask her to forward it to me. Ask her to forward it to me. It takes one email. She's usually very good at getting it back to me and to let you know that she did that very quickly. So again, that's one of those ones that's a low-hanging fruit, easy one to pluck and get off and consider done. Next one, district superintendent report. you know, our superintendents are pretty busy, especially with the realignment and the expansion of their districts and stuff like that. So um, I'd ask you, I don't want, yeah, should you decide today or tomorrow that you want to proceed with this, don't contact your DS right away. I'd say wait until like October, November, and send them a message then, telling them that yet that you need the superintendent report filled out. All right. That way you're more sure that you're going to be going through it. Because if you send them a message next week and then 3 months from now you decide, man, I just don't have the time to do all the work as much as I would want, as well as I would like to, then you kind of wasted their time, which may not look good for you. So if you give them a couple months and then you decide, you let them know to fill out the report. All they have to do is contact me and I'll make sure they should have one in a blank one in each of the district offices, but they can contact me and I will send them one anyway. There's another release authorization form. It's in here somewhere. I might have already deleted or closed that one. Sorry, it's not a big deal. It's another form that you need to just fill out and have notarized. Notarized. It's giving us permission to read and share all of your information with each other, which we need that permission in order to do that. And if you don't do that, then we can't interview you. Your district committee recommendation. Your district committee until a person is made an associate member or is commissioned as a provisional member, you are under the care of the district committee on ministry. And so you need to get their recommendation to proceed forward. This can be at your regular decom meeting. You have to have that once a year meeting at least. Or you can, if that's already taken place or it's, the timing is off to get it done, you might have to have an extra meeting with them, a special meeting. So contact your decom chair or secretary or registrar and let them know your information, your decision and your desire to move forward. And they can make sure that they put that in there. And some of them like to wait until later into, like November or December. So at the same time, they can look over some of your paperwork to kind of give you some guidance, which that's okay. You can get guidance from people. You just can't get definitive answers like, oh, you should really say this, this, and this. But we don't want that because we want everything to be from you. They are, and that they would recommend you for going forward as commissioning or as associate member. Randy, you're not going to need that because last year's was good enough. You would need 3 personal reference forms. The forms need to be completed by a lay person who knows you well, preferably someone who's worked with you this past year in ministry, a pastor other than your district superintendent, and I'm going to say other than your mentor, because your mentor is going to be doing their own report. So it should be just some other pastor, maybe in your cluster or nearby or not. And as well as your staff pastor parish relations chair. Is anyone still in seminary? You've all finished seminary?
I am still in seminary. Are we done
You are
yet?
still in seminary. Okay. Well, if you probably don't, well, you do well, but you do have an appointment, so you could use your staff parish relations chair for that, or your field supervisor, Um, and this is the form. It's a pretty simple one. They can just fill it out and either mail or email it to me. All the information is there. I just emphasize, please tell them to put your name right there on the paper. Sometimes I get them back and they're blank and I have to guess who this reference is for. I'm not a happy camper when that happens. All right. So, and yeah, it says typewritten format. So if they can, great. If they can't, they can't. If you send it to them digitally, they should be able to just fill it right in, and then they can email it to me. All right. And then we want their information down here, because I also need their information. I need to know who they are. So those are what I'm going to say are most of the small and easy ones. There's two other relatively small and easy ones. One is accommodations for disability or for any kind of issues like that. You're going to see that form is in there twice. Yeah. This one explains the policy for Boom. So you're going to have that one. It's just a lot of stuff. It's information. It's one page of information about it. So read through that and see if there are anything. And we're not limiting what disability means or accommodations for that matter. We're open to fully understanding what kind of accommodation or help you might need to make sure that your interview is successful. All right. So for some people that's, having a motorized wheelchair accessible, and for others, it's a variety of different things, whatever. We do our best to try to accommodate people. So there's the one is just the explanation form, and then there's this one, which is the request form. And you can it's got some information there. You read that, you check off that I do not need any accommodation, or you fill in the box with whatever accommodations you need, make the box bigger, print multiple pages, whatever, and get it back to me. Get it back to me. The other pretty small and easy one, but you might not want to fill this one right off the bat. This one would probably need to be at the end. Is about plagiarism. It is the plagiarism policy of the conference of Boom, including use of AI, generative or artificial intelligence. And list some of the things that could be there. We're not saying you can't use AI. We need to know how much AI you used. Did you use AI to check your grammar? Okay. Did you use it to help clarify what you were trying to say? That's okay. Are you using its words to fill out your answer to your theology question? That's not good. Okay. So we want you to be open and honest about what you've used as far as AI and how much, and you're just going to sign off on the bottom saying that I understand this policy, and I submit the work I've submitted is mine. So now we get to the now we get to the big ones, the ones that take a lot more than 5 minutes to do. Okay, because interviews takes place in March. March 10th. Yes, March 9th. Sorry, March 9th. Monday, March 9th is when the interviews will take place. And you will be interviewed in 5 different areas. You're interviewed on theology. You're interviewed on worship, which is full involvement of worship. Everything that you do, your sermon, your communications, if you and how everything worked, how it was. Your Bible study that you're going to be creating, life issues, which also includes leadership questions, and your discipleship process, because you're going to have to create a discipleship process. Again, we'll talk about all those individually, but those are the 5 areas that you're going to be interviewing on. And this is the same for commissioning as an elder, as well as for recognition as an associate member. You're interviewed in the same areas. Now, just because Just because you submit all your paperwork, just because we grant you the interview, does not mean that you will be commissioned or recognized. You might get approval, you might get a yes on all 5 areas, which is awesome. You might be asked for a redo on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or all 5 areas. Should you be asked for a redo, you can do it the following year, you can do it 2 years, whatever. And you don't have to redo everything unless you're asked to. In most cases, we're only going to ask you to redo 1 or 2 things. I mean, there are times when people are asked to redo more than that. But let's say you get approved for 3 and you're asked to redo 2 categories. The following year, you just redo those 2 categories, and that's what you're going to be interviewed for. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. We try to set you up with the same team. Doesn't always happen because there is change on the board, people coming on and going off. Excuse me. The board is broken up into two teams, 2 full teams, and then each team is broken up into multiple groups. So there's team 1, group A, group B, group C, etc. So when you come for an interview, you actually don't interview in front of the whole board. Throughout the day, you will have interviewed and met half of the board, approximately half of the board, because you're going to be assigned to team 1. So you'll meet everybody on team 1. They will be the people interviewing you. Now, team 1 will then be talking with team 2 later in the day and reflecting upon how you did and what the recommendations of team 1 are, and the entire board will be voting on that. Hope all this makes sense. Any questions so far? All right. Okay. So we'll go to the big ones. Oh, well, you know, all right, we're gonna go to the big ones. Theology, worship, Bible study, life issues, discipleship plan outline, and detail process. So let's find something here. And although this says elder and says commissioning, it's the same requirements are for associate members. Same requirements are for associate members. And this is Bible study. This is Bible study. So for this year, okay, most of this stuff up top here, the bullet points, are the same on all of these documents. We're asking the same thing. Please format it in this particular way. Please label your document, right? Name it this particular way. It sounds easy. The only difference here would be instead of PME, it would be AM for associate member, but PME, because it's provisional member elder is what you're applying, you're petitioning for. Number your pages. Please number your pages. Insert your name in the header as well. Okay. If we're going to be reading a lot of paperwork, and it's easy for us to get confused on who we're reading. If we can just look at the top of the page and say, okay, that's right, this is Carrie's paper that I'm reading right now. It makes it easier for us. Be consistent with your footnotes and your endnotes. Use a system and stick to it. I've got one there. Consider using the Chicago style. It seems to be, I like the Chicago style, and it's described there, and you can use that. The important thing is to be consistent in all of your documentation, and especially throughout one particular one. Don't change back and forth. So you get to choose from either Titus or Zechariah. Each year, sorry, couldn't hit mute fast enough. Each year we give you a choice of 2. One is from New Testament, one is Old Testament. You can use whichever one you want. These are the ones for this coming year. Should you decide to not do this year, forget about these Bibles, these books of the Bible, because the following year, or 27 or 28, they're going to be different. They're going to be different. But those are the ones for the 26 interview year. Titus and Zechariah. Make it between 4 and 8 sessions. We don't want it to be a 3-week one. We also don't want it to be a 16-week Bible study. We want between 4 and 8 sessions. 1 hour to 1.5 hours. You don't want it to be super long. You also must have a clergy person observe at least 2 lessons. That clergy person should be, I don't know that we specify that, not your mentor. There it is right there. So a pastor either needs to be an elder or a local pastor with seminary complete or course of study complete. Okay, so you can use a local pastor, but they must be either seminary or course of study complete. Or you can use an elder or provisional member, or you can use a deacon, but they cannot be your mentor. And they are there to observe you lead at least 2 of your middle sessions. Okay, why? We don't want the first session because that's probably going to be introductory and stuff like that. We also don't want the last one. We want them to be able to observe you, you might say, like the meat of your classes. All right, so any of the 2 in between. Keep that in mind when you're planning, is this going to be a 4 or 8 week study? And then you can figure out who you're going to have there and what date's going to be there. There's all information here about what we want in your document, as well as extra files. Please, if you're using PowerPoint, maybe turn them into a PDF and include that as part of your documentation. And as well as a full reflection by you, which that's provide a narrative self-evaluation that answers these questions. All right, that's section 3. So keep in mind, this is a multiple page document, because the last page, page 3, is strictly for your clergy observer. You can give them page 3 of it so that they know what they're supposed to be looking for, and what kind of questions they should address in their observation and in their documentation. Oh, and I'm gonna have to change my email on that. Okay, so any questions on Bible study? If you do cool stuff in your Bible study, please tell us about the cool stuff. We had a candidate that said that they, what was it now? They sang, I think they sang a Frank Sinatra song as part of it, and they didn't record it. They only happened to mention it in the conversation. We would have loved to have seen how they connected that to the Bible study. Yes, please say it. Okay, life issues. I'm really not going with these in any special order other than how they're popped up on my screen. Life issues, you're going to have the same instructions up front here as far as how we would ask you to format it. For this and for your theology, you're going to need a book of discipline. Paragraph 324.9. That's where these questions come from. And this is question O in that book, under that section, which is a very simple question, it seems. Make sure you're addressing it from all the possible ways you can. There's Just pull out your book of discipline, read that question, but make sure you're addressing it in the multiple ways. And I probably should do that. I've got it right here. 324. Yep, got it right here. 324.90 reads, you have agreed as a candidate for the sake of the mission of Jesus Christ in the world and the most effective witness of the gospel, and in consideration of their influence as ministers, to make a complete dedication of yourself to the highest ideals of the Christian life. And to this end, agreed to exercise responsible self-control by personal habits conducive to bodily health, mental and emotional maturity, integrity in all personal relationships, social responsibility, faithful sexual intimacy expressed through fidelity, monogamy, commitment, mutual affection and respect, careful and honest communication, mutual consent, and growth in grace and in the knowledge and love of God. What is your understanding of this agreement? So it's a very long question or statement, and then that question. Make sure you're addressing all of those sections to it. Ryan, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I just had a quick minor thing. So I'm looking at the 2020, 2024 updated book of discipline.
Yeah.
And it looks like the actual paragraph number is 324.7, not 9. Because number 9 is each candidate shall have a personal interview.
Nice catch. Thank you. I will.
Yeah, that's what that seminary paid for. There you go.
Wow. And that should probably be a capital O. No, it's not. It is a small O. Nice catch.
So does that exempt me from this one?
Nice try. So when I say address each topic within it, okay? And don't necessarily go through it step by step as you're doing it. And I hope I would say that right. But like how? Not only what is your understanding of this agreement, because some people would answer it, well, I understand this agreement to mean that I need to do these kind of things. But then follow that up with how. How are you living this out is maybe a better way to think about it. How do I exercise responsible self-control in my personal habits? We want to know how you're taking care of yourself. And making sure that you're, observing good boundaries. Okay. So there's the description on that. Any questions on that one? No? Awesome. Yes, I do want to save that. Thanks again. Nice catch on that. Discipleship plan. All right. So discipleship plan. Before this, you're going to need, we're actually looking for a couple different things. We do want you to have an understanding of what is a discipleship plan and what is discipleship. We changed what this looks like this year because there seemed to be some confusion, and not only by candidates, but by members of the board. And we felt that some teams might have been asking for more from candidates than other teams were. So we tried to make this a little bit more uniform and perhaps better spelled out. Because some team members were looking for like fully fleshed out and functional discipleship plans, while others were not. And in reality, we're not. So we broke down the differentiation here between commissioning requirements and ordination requirements. And the commissioning requirement is the same thing for associate member. We're not asking them to do the ordination one. It's a discipleship plan for a local church, including both an outline and an overview. So just an outline of what it kind of looks like, but then an overview being more narrative, a little bit more fleshed out. It should demonstrate that academic understanding of how a local church can create intentional pathways for spiritual growth, accommodating people at all stages of their faith journey. The plan need not be fully implemented at this stage, okay? Understand that one. You don't have to have it fully implemented at this stage. If you do, awesome. If you've got parts of it implemented, awesome. But it just needs to be, it needs to show those contextual elements and steps. And you're encouraged to collaborate with your congregation's laity and utilize mission insight demographics to ensure community buy-in and relevance. This is contextual. And hey, I know you might be thinking, what if I get moved? Yeah, that's okay. That's going to happen. It's happened in the past. What you submit with commissioning, and that's going to be spelled out a little bit down here in the lower part. What you submit with commissioning doesn't have to be exactly what you present to the board when you go for ordination. Tell us that I had to change this plan because I got moved. Because we do not expect a contextually relevant discipleship plan to be easily picked up and taken from one location to another. That's not contextual if you do that. So we understand that. We also would understand if, oh, I had to make some changes because we found out this didn't work, but this did. That's great. That's great. We've also had some things about pastors have hit resistance or delays because of their congregation. They just couldn't get the people behind the idea of discipleship. We don't need that. All we do need to do is, I'm a disciple. I've been showing up in worship every week for 50 years. Okay. So what did you try? We're not going to hold that against you when it was really your congregation just too resistant to the idea. Sometimes,
Brian,
yeah,
what do I do? Now I have 3 churches.
yes, you do.
Should I, do I use one as a test study or should I do like because they're 3 very different congregations.
I'm sure.
So should I do one and then
Pick one.
just
Yeah, pick
Okay.
one. Pick one. Otherwise, you're going to have to make up 3.
I really don't want to do 3.
Yeah, I'm not going to want you to do that. Pick
Thank
one, and you know what? It can be a conversation you have with all of them or with certain people from each one. Find one that you think is going to be the least resistant. Find one you think is going to be the most helpful for you.
Okay.
Because it can't be Carrie Granche's discipleship plan. It needs to be, Main Street UMC's discipleship plan. So which congregation is going to be the most helpful in creating that and perhaps the most open to the whole idea? That's the one I would go with. So to help you in this, we're doing something new this year. Hopefully you might have already seen it being advertised in the quick link. We are having this small groups why and how seminar is taking place in Mount Nittany UMC. And the presenter is Pat Roddy, who is the director of discipleship Northway Christian Community. That's taking place September 23rd, 2025. Notice the wording here. You are encouraged to attend. We cannot require you to attend this one. We don't want to, we probably could, but we don't want to require you. But we're trying to give you a tool that will help you. This is a one-day seminar. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I think the cost is like $10. Something ridiculously cheap. It's basically lunch. Okay.
Brian, sidebar question on that one, just
Yeah.
out of curiosity for my own awareness, and maybe others. Would this qualify for CEUs as well or not?
I do not have the answer to that question. Ryan Gephardt is running this one from the subcommittee of Boom that he is in charge of. He is running this one, and I do not remember if he said anything about CEUs or not.
Okay. I mean, obviously it's more, it's just as helpful, if not more, for this process, but I'm just thinking that that's a big chunk of driving and daytime commitment for me. So if I
absolutely.
can double dip with CEUs, that would be incredibly helpful too.
You can always submit it. I do not have the power to say for sure, but I don't see why they wouldn't offer CEUs for it.
Just to
John Mackey,
clarify,
John
it's
Mackey is.
0.55 CEU,
What's that?
0.55 CEU.
Oh, he's got more information than I do. Thank you, Randy. You must have pulled it up online. There we go. Okay. But it should be a very helpful thing. We believe it will be anyway. Any other questions about discipleship plan? All righty, moving on. And Carrie, I know we're getting close to 10 o'clock, so whenever you need to leave, go ahead. And again, I'll send you the email when we, I'll email you the link when I get that done. There's general guidelines. You don't need that.
Hey, Brian, while I'm thinking about it too, this is just maybe a nitpicky question for me,
Yeah.
but could you just give like a brief example of what you might call a contextual consideration as part of the discipleship plan? Because my experience with it, as far as discipleship conversations, have never dealt with that.
Okay.
It's always been much more in the general sense of being and becoming and all those pieces. So kind of just a clarity on that would be helpful real quick.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a general example, not perhaps a specific example. But when you use mission insight, which maybe you've already done, you'll find out what your community is like and what the needs in your community are like and what ministries or programs, well, I hate that word, are needed in that community. So your discipleship plan would probably be a good idea for your discipleship plan to consider those elements and those ministries as part of it, because you want to drop, part of someone once said a discipleship plan is basically three things. And they use their arms. They said, like, coming in, growing up, and sending out. One of the ways to draw them in is through some of those ministries. So that would be contextual. And what are the gifts and graces of the folks in your congregation? What ministries do you have that are working and do show promise of developing disciples? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, worship. Woohoo! Worship assignment. And again, the top stuff is all the same. This is for 2026. Although we're in 25, the interview takes place in 26. So you guys are preparing for 2026. And should you decide to move forward, you are going to be required to do 2 sermons, one of which is a required text. You have one required text and one is a choice text. So the required text this year is Luke 17, 11 to 19. I'm just going to say that one again. Luke 17, 11 to 19, which on page 2 does mention that this comes from the lectionary, and in particular comes from the lectionary for October 12th of 2025. And I double checked that to make sure I had that correct. However, although it is the reading in the common lectionary for that Sunday, you don't have to preach it on that Sunday. You can preach it whenever you feel like. because we don't require you to use the lectionary. Some people use the lectionary, some don't. And if you don't use the lectionary, that's fine, but find some way between now and the end of the year to use this scripture in one of your worship services. Okay. The second one is one of your choice. Pick whatever scripture or topic you want to preach on. Again, sometime between now and the end of the year, and you got it. Okay, yeah. Between now and the end of the year, and preach it, You're going to need to do a couple things. We want the documentation. So we want your bulletin. If you use PowerPoint, I'd rather you not send me the PowerPoint, change it to a PDF of the, print out the pages, send me a PDF of what your pictures were for it. If you do that, if you don't use PowerPoint, that's fine. We also want the manuscript for your sermon that day. Does that mean you need to preach from a manuscript? No, it does not. Some people preach from manuscripts. That's fine. Some people preach from outlines or from notes or from their head. All of those are fine and acceptable, but we need a manuscript to follow along. So if you print it out ahead of time and you preach it that way, great, just send us that. If you don't type up a manuscript, then either you or somebody else will need to transcribe from what you preached that day into a full manuscript. If you preach from an outline, please don't send me the outline. We need it to be full. We need it to be full. Does that make sense the way I said that? I hope so. Got it? Ryan, Daniel, Travis. Okay, cool. So however you preach is fine. Afterwards, type it, listen to your message and type it up, or have somebody else do that.
Brian,
Also, yeah.
is that
Travis.
is that an okay use of AI?
Sure. I would say that is a perfectly acceptable use of AI. You might want to mention that or something in it. AI was not used in in writing my sermon, but it did type it up afterwards.
Thank you.
I'd have no problem with that at all, and I'm sure the worship team wouldn't. That would be a clever use of AI. Awesome. We do want you to record it, create a video of the worship, of your entire worship, not just your sermon, because we want to see how you move. We want to see how everything takes place throughout the entire worship, because we want to see the flow of worship. So the whole thing should be recorded. That cannot be uploaded to Passage. They do not have the ability to upload videos. They did tell me that they could probably upload a link, but I try to make it simple for our colleagues on the board of our name ministry, because simple is good. So send me your video either through a flash drive, or Google Drive, or some form of downloadable link where I can download your video. And then what I will do is upload it to my YouTube channel, set it to private, and only members of the board will be watching it. And I put them all in a playlist with the right date and stuff like that, so they know that they're looking at the right videos for you. And please label everything, whether it's sermon 1 or sermon 2, so that we know what we're looking at, both video and your documentation. And so we've got some things there, and you're going to kind of reflect. We want some reflection. All right. These are things to think about yourself. Think about what you're doing. Because we do need we do need, it should be in there somewhere. Oh, yeah. Let us know where it was preached. Okay, kind of describe your setting. That's right there. Prepare a cover sheet for your worship services. If you do them both at the same location, we only need it once. But if you're going to be preaching one at one location and one at another, then you'll need a separate cover sheet for it, describing the congregation and the setting. Let us know what it looked like that day. If you were preaching to a whole bunch of millennials, or if you were preaching to a whole bunch of people in their 70s, kind of thing. And again, that scripture, Luke 17, 11, 19, is only for 2026. If you choose not to do this coming year, then forget about this, because for 27 it's different, and 28 it's different. Okay, the last of the biggies is theology. Dum, dum, dum. All right. So this is where we were. We were talking about the theology paper, which this is not 2026 specific, because it is based on the Book of Discipline. You will need your 2020/2024 Book of Discipline, and use paragraph 324.7 and hit all of those letters except for O. You'll notice O is missing, and that's because O is in the life issues. I need to change 324.9 there as well. Is the one that you do in the life issues paper. And as you are answering the questions, these are things for you to keep in mind as you do that. Are my answers clear and concise? Longer is not necessarily better. Okay, longer is not necessarily better. Suggested length is 20 to 30, plus your bibliography. Don't forget to put a big bibliography on that. Even if you're not quoting directly from a book, books have impacted your theology and your understanding in the questions. So please list all of those type things in your bibliography. And I would suggest that you have a good number of them that are United Methodist type books. Not that you can't have a Baptist book or a Presbyterian theological book in your bibliography, but please make sure that they're not all Baptist or Presbyterian or Pentecostal. They should have a substantial number of in your bibliography. But notice that word suggested length. Suggested length is 20 to 30 pages. Does not mean that it has to be 20 to 30 pages. I've read some theology papers that were like 15, 17 pages long that were better than ones that were 45 pages long. Write the way you write. As long as you're answering the question fully and as much as you want to answer it, consider it done and move on to the next. If the interview team has questions, they will ask you questions that day. And you are permitted to have all of your documentation, all of your papers with you when you go to the teams, to the groups. I would recommend it. Put them all in a binder and label the different sections of the binder, and just go from room to room with your binder. And when they ask you a question, they'll say, hey, on page 5 of your theology paper, when you were answering question E, you said this. Can you tell me more about that? All right, that's okay. That's why we do the interviews. We've had papers that weren't the best, but the person knew what they were trying to say, and they were able to answer the questions more fluently the day of the interview. And so the expression came out that the interview redeems the paper. The interview can redeem the paper, and that's certainly true. There have been cases, not as many, that were the opposite. That we had maybe some questions for the person, but the interview was just horrible. And they, I guess you'd say they just didn't have it in themselves enough and weren't able to express themselves. And so there were concerns that way. So just because they have questions for you doesn't mean you didn't do a good job. The questions are just for clarity and to get you through it. Please make sure that you're answering for yourself. Do not write for the board's approval. Do not think that you have to say things in a certain way. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. And, yeah.
Brian,
Yeah.
along that line, so that means like not so much a seminary theological treatise or paper like I would write for seminary, but on a different, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think so. No, it probably should be, a seminary type document, but don't load it up with quotes. It's okay to use quotes. It's okay to cite from books, but make sure that you're still sharing what you think, what you believe.
Okay,
Does that help?
it does. Thank you.
I mean, we do want it to be, like an educational documentation. We want it to be that. We want it to be a seminary paper. There's a difference between what you submit for commissioning and what you submit for ordination. Ordination is not quite so higher educational learning type document. That's a lot more reflection. It's how has your understanding of theology been affected by being in ministry. That's what takes place in ordination. So commissioning is definitely more, seminary document. All right, any other questions on any of those things and the assignments that will need to take place? All right, then we are going to go to, we're going to go to Passage. And so it's passageumc.org. Passageumc.org is the site. And I have this all set. This is I set myself up as a test unit. I created a test page for this. So when you log in, these are the things you're going to see. Yeah, so I am SUSUMC test. When you log in on Passage, this is basically what you're going to see. And off to the right on the top is going to be your name with a drop-down arrow. And so you should click on that and go to My Profile. Your My Profile is editable by you. You can put in different things. So like down on this section here, there is that edit page or the edit, and that's to take care of this section in here, putting in a secondary email in case something happens, putting in your cell number, and opting in to SMS messaging or email notifications. SMS messaging, that's up to you. I strongly recommend opting into email notifications. It'll let you know things. And over here is your picture, and that should be editable by clicking on that, the little thing there. What do I got? Oh, I had a picture. But basically just click on the pencil and edit it and put in your picture for yourself and send me a copy of that picture as well. Underneath that, it's going to say who your mentor is if you're assigned to a mentor, assuming the system has been updated. And then it says what your conference is, what your district is. And then down on the bottom, it's tracks. It's what track are you in? And we're going to look at this test track of Susquehanna Elders starting with commissioning. And you can just click on open. And it takes you to that track. So what's a track? We have different tracks in the United Methodist Church. You could be going for elder, you can be going for deacon, you can be going for associate member, you can be a local pastor. Each of those things is a track in the United Methodist Church. And so they're using that same language here. And this is the way to see what has been done and what has not been done and how to upload those things. So you're going to see this. And on the left-hand side, they're all white and active boxes, and the right-hand side is all gray boxes. That's because that's for ordination. You can't get to that section just yet. There's certain things that you can't do until you do things before them. Excuse me. So if I would probably be taking care of that one, and it's pretty simple. You click on the one you're working on and you wait for the stupid thing to open up because it's not the fastest thing in the world. Currently in, let me go find a different one then. Although this is better than UM Cares, it's still not the best system in the world. So let's say you're ready with your Bible study. You've done your Bible study and you're ready to upload the documents. You click on that box and you wait forever and a day until it opens up. There we are. And then it's just like almost anything else that you've ever had to upload things to. You click in this area where it says Browse Files. You find the document that you want to upload. And then you hit Submit down here in the lower left corner. Okay, and then it's done. You go back here. Yeah. And you'll see it's got a check mark now instead of this other little box with the arrow on it. It's got a check mark. So you know that you've done that one. Certified candidate for at least 1 year. Okay. All those things. What was the one?
Now, Brian,
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I misheard you or misunderstood something you said earlier. Some of these things should already be included in our passage when we log in from like when we did them before as part of the candidate process, correct?
No.
Oh, okay.
If they are, they're in a different location, and they need to be here in this track. So if on your page you were listed on multiple tracks, it might be in one, but it needs to be in this one.
Well, it's not in any tracks because I don't have access to Passage yet, but I wanted to make sure when I logged in if I was needing to look for anything, but that answers that question then.
Passage is relatively new. I'm going to say it's about 2 years old, although time goes by too quickly. So I'm not 100% sure. Yes, Daniel, what's going on?
Right. So I came from the Virginia conference and then the Unity Web. As part of my transfer process, I transferred a lot of, I believe that they transferred a lot of the psychological assessments and all of those to the Susquehanna conference. But I need to confirm if you have everything, or
Yes.
we revisit that process to make sure that all of that has been received by you.
I haven't received any of those things. They probably went to your district office.
Aha. who do I need to contact in that sense to
Well, you're in, excuse me, you're in Freedom Trails,
Freedom Trail District? Yes.
Freedom Trail District. I would suggest contacting the district office, and I think it's Kathy, isn't it Kathy? I think Kathy is the administrative assistant.
Yes, it is. It is.
So speak to her. Speak to her to see if she has that information.
All right. And
Either her or you can also talk to the chair of the district committee on ordained ministry. They should also know where your file is.
do you know the name of the chair? Is that Ryan?
I think it is Ryan. I think it's Ryan Gephardt.
Okay. Thank you. I'll do that.
You are welcome. Yeah. Okay. So once you get through, there was something in here that I know was confusing people. Why can't you for at least 1 year complete education? Ordination to ministry or equivalent, or orientation to ministry or equivalent. I hope you guys can see that one. That's what we refer to as a God's call event in our district. So all you would need to do is you basically are just saying, yep, I've done it. So you click on that one and you say, yes, I've done it, and that's about it. Passage is relatively simple. Like I said, there's that time lag sometimes. Yeah, and that's all you do is click that box, complete BOM sponsored orientation and ministry. And then your advisor, which is usually me, needs to confirm that that's taken place. That's all. So questions on passage? I'm going to sign out and then I'm going to sign in as me and just test something here. So Ryan Weissel is an active user participant in the system. So this is Ryan's page. Oh, and Ryan, apparently it goes to ryan.weissel1@gmail.com. Is that still an active email?
It's an active email, but I'm not sure why it's default. I'm wondering if because I'll tell you what, they probably pulled this stuff from way back when, because I don't live in Greencastle anymore.
There you go.
That was from first Greencastle, so that would explain why I don't know how to quite get in there yet. But what I'll do then is I think I can request a reset of my password. Yeah, here, let me do that, because I had been doing it with my
once you get in there, you should be able to change your email.
Yeah, I'll go in and
if you have trouble, let me know and we can straighten that out.
Yeah, I'll wait for the reset code here and all that good stuff, because I don't recall ever getting a password for that.
Gotcha. Let's see. And Daniel, doesn't look like you're in the system yet. We will make sure we get that taken care of.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Ryan, that's exactly what they did, was pull from old things. Because like when I first went on here, it was, well, I predate UN Cares, so it was way back there. Travis is in here as T. Allshouse at SUSUMC. Some of your stuff probably needs to get.
I have another question.
Yes, Daniel.
So I'll be done with seminary in December. That's December 12th. And I'm believing that my transcripts, well, the unofficial one should be ready within a week or two after that, right? But it's
Okay.
no one. I want to start a process as early as January 2026.
Okay.
What you recommend, I mean, in terms of that, looking at the time.
As far as, I'm sorry, as far as your
As far
timing,
as-
the transcript?
Yes, getting my transcript and getting the whole process going.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine. Well, I will send you all the documentation, all the files that I talked about today, and you can reach out to your seminary. What I would probably need, and you, like you said, you're still in seminary. You're finishing in December. It should only be a week or so before your transcript is ready. You might need to stay on top of them to make sure that they send it to me. That's all. And I would even accept, perhaps sometimes they have a preliminary versus a final transcript.
Right.
As long as I have at least the preliminary and then they get me the final. I have a little bit of leeway on something like that, but they should be able to get you that relatively quickly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Brian, here's another one. I don't know if you've run into this with other seminaries, but when I graduated from United, they actually provided me a copy of my official transcript that's still got a seal on it, but it's in my possession. Would that qualify, or do you still need it physically sent to you directly from the seminary? I think they gave it to me in anticipation of needing it for something like this, because it's a UM seminary and all that, and they knew that was kind of my goal. But would that be sufficient so long as that seal is still intact for you?
Let me look into that for you.
Okay, because I know it's an official transcript. Again, they gave it to me directly as part of my, graduation process and everything.
What I would accept versus what, the Book of Discipline and Board of Ordained Ministry accepts, sometimes are two different things.
Sure.
I know I've seen it somewhere that it needs to go directly from the school to the registrar, but in 2025, that may not be necessary anymore. So, any more questions? Everybody completely confused, your eyes glazed over, looking like you've eaten a dozen donuts or something. No.
This whole process has made it clear as mud. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. Mission accomplished.
Was there something else that you needed to talk to me about?
I don't think so. I'm going to, I have to put you into the right track, and I will let you know exactly what you still need to do, which I think was worship, right?
Yeah, because I used the wrong scripture last year.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Hey, it was the right gospel and it was the right chapter. It was just a wrong verse.
So you need to do worship, and you'll need to do a check-in paper. You don't need to do a full life issues. You just need to do a check-in paper, which you can find in the provisional member handbook. And a new 105 would probably be recommended, and a superintendent report might be recommended, might be a good idea. But I'll look into those.
Please, yeah.
Brian, I did submit a request for a code to reset my password on Passage since it was showing I was active. I've not received it yet. I don't know how long it typically takes. If for some reason it does not get to me, are you in charge of that I can reconnect with you and see what's going on?
We should be able to work it. We
Okay.
should be able to figure it out. Yeah, just
like I said, I submitted it, the request for the reset password code probably 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago now. And
did you check your just check your spam folder?
Oh, I've checked every folder.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, I'm not seeing anything just yet. And it's
because sometimes that does go to the wrong folder. Sometimes it does go to spam.
I'm having the same problem with Passage as well.
And you guys aren't the only two. So
Well, you miscalled it pest earlier, so maybe that's the new name for this one is
pest.
pestage.
Pestage. And you know what the worst part is? They charge the conference for it,
Mm-hmm.
like per user. Although I think they're now making it not count like free to the conference for people up to a certain level, or however you want to phrase it, a certain step along the passage is free, and then they only have to pay for people after that. I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, to be fair though, depending on what the step point is, that is the transitional piece, it might be one of those where they recognize not everyone who starts the track is going to finish it or complete it. So be kind of unfair to charge for them if they only make it to filling out the biographical information and background checks. Whereas if someone's getting to the point where they're submitting, worship and theology papers and all that, that makes sense because then it's going to be more intense on the servers. So.
Okay, and any more questions? No? Wunderbar. Thank you all for your interest. Let me know if you are, send me an email. I like to have not just the Boom likes to have the paper trail. So send me an email saying, yes, I want to proceed, and which time I will send you the stuff so you can get started. And my cell number should be on everything in my paper, my stuff. My email will be on everything, so you'll have my contact information. Put me in there, put me in your phones. I'm available as much as I am available. If you text me at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to get an answer right away. But I will do my best to help you and walk alongside you during your process. Speaking of like cell phones and stuff, when you tell me that you are going to proceed, please include in your email your cell number, your home address, what church you serve, and what district that church is in. That just helps me with some of my paperwork and forms to fill out. Okay.
And Brian, you'll send all these documents we went over out to everyone today.
I wasn't going to unless you told me you wanted to proceed.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, because when I was looking on the conference website, some of the checklists and whatnot are still from like 22, 23, 24.
I noticed that yesterday. I have to give the new one to Marion.
Okay.
And I'm sure she'll take care of it to make sure that it's
correct. Very good.
I have no doubt about that. All right. Very well, folks. Have a great day.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Thank
You are welcome. You are welcome.